The Council ordered humanity to pay tribute. Their reply shook the galaxy. Part 1. The summons. The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council chambers loomed above Ambassador Marcus Rivera as he stood alone on the circular platform. 500 alien representatives from across the known universe sat in rising tiers around him, their murmurs creating an ocean of whispers that echoed through the cavernous space. The 7 High Counselors, enormous beings with translucent skin, revealing pulsing organs of impossible colors, stared down from their elevated dais. Marcus fought to keep his breathing steady. Behind his composed exterior, his heart hammered against his ribs. He was the first human to ever stand in these hallowed chambers, representing not just Earth but all 17 human colonies spread across the stars. The neural translator implanted behind his ear buzzed slightly as it processed the dozens of alien languages being spoken in hushed tones around him. "Humanity," boomed Arbiter Vox Lux, his voice deep and resonant through the translation feed. The enormous being's forearms moved in precise ritualistic gestures as he spoke. "Your species has been permitted to expand to 17 star systems in the past 3 decades. This rapid growth cannot continue unchecked." Marcus remained perfectly still, aware that billions back on Earth were watching this transmission with bated breath. The Galactic Council had summoned humanity's representative without explanation 3 days ago. Now standing before the most powerful governing body in the known universe, Marcus began to understand why. "The Council has deliberated and reached unanimous decision," continued the Arbiter, mandibles clicking with what Marcus recognized as satisfaction. "Earth and its colonies will pay annual tribute of 30% of all resources harvested from non-Terran worlds. Additionally, you will surrender all proprietary terraforming technology to Council archives." A murmur rippled through the assembled representatives. Marcus noticed several smaller species looking distinctly uncomfortable. Others seemed pleased, even smug. Marcus opened his mouth to respond, but the Arbiter raised a limb. "This is not a negotiation, Ambassador. This is an edict. The Council has spoken. You have 30 Earth days to begin compliance." The Arbiter's eyes narrowed, 6 pupilless orbs focusing intently on the human. "Should humanity refuse, the consequences will be instructive for other emerging species." Marcus took a deliberate breath before pressing a small device in his palm. Behind him, a holographic projection materialized, a simple cube hovering in mid-air. "Honored counselors," Marcus said, his voice steady and clear, cutting through the chamber with unexpected authority. "Before I deliver Earth's response, I believe there's something you should see." The cube began to unfold, revealing complex geometric patterns that shouldn't be possible in 3-dimensional space. Several council members leaned forward in their seats. The High Counselors exchanged glances. "What is the meaning of this display?" demanded Vox Lux. Marcus smiled thinly. "This, Arbiter, is humanity's reply." The holographic cube continued its impossible transformation, dimensions folding into and through each other in ways that defied conventional physics. Marcus noted with satisfaction the reactions spreading through the chamber: confusion, disbelief, and in a few cases unmistakable fear. "Ambassador Rivera," said a different counselor, a being composed of what appeared to be living metal, "explain yourself immediately." "Gladly." "High Counselor Mentis," replied Marcus, surprising the being by knowing its name. "What you're witnessing is a visualization of quantum dimensional engineering, something your scientific archives claim is impossible. This is merely a demonstration of principles we've mastered over the last decade." Another ripple of murmurs spread through the chamber. Louder now. "You claim humanity possesses technology unknown to the Council?" Vox Lux's voice had lost some of its imperious tone. "Not just unknown," Marcus replied calmly. "Believed impossible. We discovered quite early in our expansion that the Council actively discourages certain avenues of research. Quantum engineering was one such path. We simply chose to explore it quietly." The chamber erupted in voices. Marcus stood silently, waiting for order to be restored. Through his earpiece, he received a brief message from Earth Command. "Proceed with Phase 2. Once the Arbiter had restored order, Marcus continued. "The Council has demanded tribute from humanity, specifically 30% of all resources from non-Terran worlds." He gestured, and the holographic display changed to show the 17 known human colony worlds. "These are the colonies you know about." The display shifted again, and suddenly dozens more worlds appeared, spreading across regions of space thought uninhabitable or unexplored. And these, Marcus said quietly, are the colonies you don't. The silence in the chamber was absolute. Impossible, whispered Vox Lux. But the uncertainty in his voice was evident to all. The void sector cannot sustain life, stated another counselor, a gaseous being contained within an ornate floating shell. It can when you understand how to stabilize quantum fluctuations, Marcus replied, a simple application of the principles demonstrated in the holographic cube. Marcus deactivated the hologram and looked directly at the 7 high counselors. Humanity respectfully declines to pay tribute. Furthermore, we formally request recognition as equals, with full voting rights on this council. The chamber exploded into chaos. Accusations of lies and deception echoed from some representatives, while others called for immediate military action. The 7 high counselors huddled together, their private communication system allowing them to converse without being overheard. Marcus stood calmly amidst the storm. His part in this carefully orchestrated plan was nearly complete. After several minutes, Vox Lux raised all 4 arms, demanding silence. These claims require verification. The Council will dispatch observers to confirm the existence of these supposed hidden colonies. His voice hardened. If you speak falsely, Ambassador, the consequences will be severe. We welcome verification, Marcus replied. And to demonstrate our good faith, we will provide escort vessels. Your observers will require our quantum stabilization fields to safely enter the void sector. The implied message was clear. Without human technology, the Council couldn't even access the regions of space where many human colonies supposedly existed. This session is adjourned for deliberation, announced Vox Lux. Ambassador Rivera, you are confined to the diplomatic quarter until the Council reconvenes. Marcus bowed slightly. As you wish, Arbiter. As the representatives filed out, many casting curious or hostile glances his way, Marcus maintained his diplomatic composure. Only when he reached the relative privacy of the transport pod that would take him to the diplomatic quarter did he allow himself to exhale fully. How did I do? He asked, seemingly to empty air. The pod's communication system activated. Admiral Eliza Desmond's voice came through, clear and satisfied. Perfectly, Marcus. They reacted exactly as predicted. Phase 2 is ready to begin. The verification teams? We'll see exactly what we want them to see, Desmond replied. The quantum masking fields are in place throughout the void sector. Our actual installations remain undetectable. Marcus leaned back, feeling the weight of representing humanity pressing on his shoulders. They'll discover the truth eventually. By then it will be too late, Desmond said confidently. The political fractures are already forming. Did you notice the Mersai and Taladarian representatives? They were practically salivating at the thought of accessing our technology. And the military response? The Hextari Empire will push for immediate action, of course. They always do. But they can't move without Council consensus. By the time they reach agreement, Operation Checkmate will be complete. Marcus watched through the transport pod's window as they passed through the gleaming city that served as the Galactic Council's seat of power. Alien architecture soared impossibly high, defying conventional engineering. Beautiful, impressive, and soon to be changed forever. Do you ever wonder if we're doing the right thing? He asked quietly. There was a pause before Desmond responded. The Council has dominated galactic politics for 10,000 years, Marcus. They've restricted technology, controlled expansion, and kept younger species subservient. Humanity would never be allowed to reach its potential under their system. That doesn't answer my question. Another pause. We're not destroying the Council, Marcus. We're transforming it. The quantum technology is real, even if our colonies in the void sector aren't around yet. What we're offering could benefit all species, not just the original 7 who wrote the rules to favor themselves. The transport pod slowed as it approached the diplomatic. Quarter Bewows, a collection of buildings, designed to house representatives from non-council races. Get some rest, Desmond said. In 24 hours, the verification teams will depart. In 48 hours, they'll discover our phantom colonies. And in 72 hours, the galaxy changes forever, Marcus finished. One way or another, agreed Desmond. Before the communication link went silent, Marcus stepped from the pod into the diplomatic quarter, nodding politely to representatives from other non-council races, who regarded him with new interest and wariness. The rumors would already be spreading. Humanity's challenge to the established order had begun, and somewhere in a hidden facility orbiting Earth, Admiral Eliza Desmond, the Council ordered humanity to pay tribute. Their reply shook the galaxy. Part 2. The Revelation. 3 days after Ambassador Rivera's demonstration, the Galactic Council's intelligence division was in chaos. Director Krell Knox, chief of interspecies surveillance, slammed his appendage on the holographic display, causing the image to distort momentarily before stabilizing again. "Impossible," he hissed, his scaled skin flushing a deep purple with agitation. "Scan it again." His subordinate, a tall insectoid Trellin named Veeks, made a nervous clicking sound with his mandibles. "We've scanned it 17 times, Director. The results are consistent. The humans have established presence in the void sector." Krell Knox froze, his 6 eyes blinking in rapid succession, a sign of extreme stress in his species. The void sector blocks a region of space believed uninhabitable due to quantum instability, had been avoided by all spacefaring civilizations for millennia. Ships that ventured there either disappeared or returned with systems corrupted beyond repair, crews babbling about reality itself unraveling around them. "How many settlements?" he asked, voice barely audible even in the silent chamber. "Not settlements, sir." VX's compound eyes reflected the star chart hovering between them, pinpoints of light marking human outposts where none should exist. Cities, 38 fully developed metropolises across 22 planets. Conservative population estimate, 4 billion humans. Krell Knox slumped back into his support chair, tendrils of neural interface cables automatically adjusting to his new position. "When?" "Earliest evidence suggests they began 20 years ago, before they even petitioned for council recognition." The director stared at the projection, his analytical mind struggling to process the implications. "And their technology?" "Unknown, but..." VX hesitated, mandibles twitching. "The quantum signature around these worlds is modified. They've somehow stabilized the void sector." In the doorway, a shadow moved. Ambassador Marcus Rivera stepped into the light, flanked by 2 human guards in simple gray uniforms bearing no insignia or rank markers. "I believe the term you're looking for," he said calmly, "is quantum engineering. And that's just the beginning of what we can do." Krell Knox rose quickly, his body tensing in what humans might recognize as a fight-or-flight response. "This facility is restricted. How did you gain access?" Marcus smiled slightly. "Director, your security systems operate on principles we transcended a decade ago. But we're not here to threaten, only to clarify." He gestured to the star chart. "Your scans are detecting something real, but not what you think. Those aren't cities you're seeing, but quantum anchor points." "Explain," demanded Krell Knox, eyes narrowing suspiciously. "The void sector isn't inherently uninhabitable," Marcus replied, walking closer to the holographic display. "It's simply unstable embryos reality there fluctuates at a quantum level. Our anchor points create zones of stability, allowing for safe passage and eventually colonization." "Why reveal this now?" asked Veeks, curiosity temporarily overcoming his caution. "Because the Council's demand for tribute forced our hand," Marcus answered honestly. "Humanity has been content to develop quietly, away from Council oversight. We've abided by all public regulations while exploring possibilities the Council has deemed forbidden." Krell Knox circled the display, studying the human with new interest. "You claim to have mastered quantum engineering or technology the Council's best minds have declared impossible." "Not impossible," corrected Marcus. "Simply dangerous to the established order. Tell me, Director, why does the Council discourage research into dimensional physics and quantum engineering?" Before Krell Knox could respond, an alarm sounded throughout the intelligence center. Displays flickered, showing multiple incoming Council vessels. "It seems our conversation must be cut short," Marcus said, checking a small device on his wrist. "The verification team has been dispatched earlier than expected." "You're surprisingly calm for someone whose deception is about to be exposed," Krell Knox noted. "Those ships will find no cities in the void sector." Marcus's smile widened slightly. "They'll find exactly what we want them to find, Director. Reality is more malleable than the Council has led you to believe." He turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and I wouldn't advise trying to detain us. The quantum destabilization would be unpleasant for everyone in this facility." As if to emphasize his point, The air around the three humans seemed to ripple slightly, light bending in ways that made Krell Knox's inner eyelids close reflexively. After the humans departed, VX approached his superior cautiously. "Director, should we alert the High Counselors?" Krell Knox stared at the door through which the humans had left. "About what? That our highest security facility was penetrated as easily as a public garden? That humans may possess technology that makes our defenses obsolete?" He shook his head. "No. We wait for the verification team's report. And meanwhile, we dig deeper into human history." He gestured, and the display changed to show Eartho, a blue-green world that had, until recently, seemed unremarkable. "There's something we're missing. No species leaps from primitive to quantum engineering in mere centuries. Trace their scientific development. Focus on the last 100 years. Find the turning point." As VX hurried to comply, Krell Knox returned his gaze to the void sector display. If the humans were telling the truth, the balance of power that had maintained galactic stability for thousands of years was about to shatter. 2 days later, the council chambers were filled beyond capacity. Representatives from every recognized species had demanded presence at this emergency session. The verification team had returned from the void sector, and rumors of their findings had spread like wildfire through diplomatic channels. Ambassador Rivera stood again on the central platform, but this time he was not alone. Admiral Eliza Desmond stood beside him, her military bearing unmistakable despite her simple civilian attire. Arbiter Vox Lux called the session to order, the traditional formalities notably abbreviated. "The verification team's findings have been distributed to all representatives," he announced, his voice lacking its usual resonant confidence. "Ambassador Rivera, you claimed human presence in the void sector. The team confirms detection of extensive infrastructure and energy signatures consistent with large-scale habitation." Murmurs swept through the chamber. Marcus nodded acknowledgement but said nothing. "However," continued Vox Lux, "the team was unable to directly observe any cities or settlements. They report that their vessels could not penetrate beyond the outer stability zone without human escort, which was," he paused, seeming to choose his words carefully, "not available at the time of inspection." "We offered escort," Marcus replied calmly. "Your team declined, preferring to conduct independent verification. Unfortunately, their ships lack the necessary quantum stabilization technology to safely navigate the inner zones." Counselor Grax of the Hextari Empire rose from his seat, his armored exoskeleton clattering as he pointed accusingly at the humans. "Convenient explanations. You show us energy signatures and claim they are cities we cannot visit. This is deception, nothing more." Admiral Desmond stepped forward, her voice clear and level. "Counselor Grax, your skepticism is understandable. Perhaps a more direct demonstration would be convincing." She activated a small device similar to the one Marcus had used during his first appearance. A new hologram appeared, but unlike the abstract geometric patterns Marcus had shown, this displayed what appeared to be live footage of a massive city. Towering structures of impossible architecture rose from a landscape that shifted subtly, as if reality itself was fluid. Humans moved about their business alongside machinery that seemed to phase in and out of conventional space. "This is New Aurora," Desmond explained, "our largest settlement in the void sector, currently home to approximately 200 million humans. Fabricated imagery," scoffed Grax. "Anyone can create convincing simulations." Desmond nodded. "Indeed. Which is why we propose a second verification, class with council representatives of your choosing, accompanied by our escort vessels this time." Before Grax could respond, another counselor rose, Audrey of the Meriden Collective, her crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns. The verification team's sensors detected something else, something the humans have not mentioned. Her voice chimed like glass bells. "Temporal anomalies surrounding these supposed settlements. Would you care to explain, Admiral?" A hush fell over the chamber. Temporal manipulation was perhaps the only technology more strictly forbidden by council law than quantum engineering. Desmond met Dre's gaze steadily. An unavoidable side effect of quantum stabilization in the void sector. Time flows differently there. We've learned to compensate, but the effect cannot be eliminated entirely. "So you admit to temporal manipulation," Grax exclaimed triumphantly. "We admit to nothing of the sort," Marcus interjected smoothly. We've simply learned to live within natural temporal variations, not to create them artificially. Vox Lux raised his arms for silence. Regardless of the exact nature of human achievement, it is clear that humanity possesses technology unknown to the Council. This complicates the matter of tribute. The Council ordered humanity to pay tribute. Their reply shook the Galaxy Part 3, the Demonstration High Admiral. Torlak of the Council Defense Fleet watched in stunned silence as his flagship's sensors went offline one by one. Around him, his bridge crew frantically tried to restore systems, their movements becoming increasingly desperate as each attempt failed. "Report," he barked, his powerful voice echoing through the command deck. His second-in-command, Commander Lux, a veteran of 3 interstellar conflicts, appeared genuinely frightened, an expression Torlak had never seen on the battle-hardened officer's face before. "Unknown, sir. It's as if our technology simply stopped working." Through the flagship's main viewport, Torlak observed the rest of his fleet, 50 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy, drifting aimlessly in the void, their engines dark, weapon systems inactive. What had begun as a simple show of force, positioning the fleet at the edge of human territory as a reminder of Council military supremacy, had transformed into a nightmare scenario in a matter of seconds. A small vessel approached, sleek silver, bearing Earth's insignia. It was absurdly tiny compared to the Council warships, no larger than a shuttle. It maneuvered with impossible precision between the drifting Council ships, its propulsion system emitting no visible energy signature. A communication channel opened automatically on Torlak's command console, bypassing all security protocols and encryption. "Admiral Torlak," came a woman's voice, calm and measured. "I am Admiral Eliza Desmond of Earth's Quantum Defense Initiative. Your fleet is currently experiencing a controlled demonstration of our field nullification technology." Torlak gripped his command console, his knuckles whitening around the edges of his exoskeletal gauntlets. "What have you done to my ships?" "Nothing permanent," Desmond replied, her tone almost reassuring. "We've temporarily suspended certain laws of physics within a localized bubble. Your ship's systems will restore in approximately 10 minutes. "That's impossible," Lux exclaimed, forgetting protocol in his shock. "Apparently not," Torlak responded grimly before addressing the human again. "Admiral Desmond, this is an act of war. The Council will respond with full force." "No, Admiral." The human's voice remained calm. "This is a physics lesson. Had we wished for war, your ships would not merely be disabled, they would be dust. The Council ordered humanity to pay tribute. Consider this our formal decline." The small human vessel accelerated suddenly, passing directly through what should have been the flagship's strongest shields as if they didn't exist. It completed a circuit around the bridge section before returning to its original position. "A further demonstration," Desmond continued. "What you're experiencing is merely a field effect. We can calibrate it to allow certain technologies to function while others fail. We can apply it selectively to individual ships. We can extend it to planetary scale." The implications settled over the bridge crew like a shroud. If the human spoke truth, conventional military action against Earth would be worse than futile. It would be suicidal. "Why reveal this capability?" Torlak asked, his tactical mind already analyzing potential countermeasures and finding none. "You've lost the advantage of surprise." There was a brief pause before Desmond responded. "Humanity has no desire for conflict, Admiral. We wish only to claim our rightful place among galactic civilizations. As equals, not subjects. The Council needs to understand that military coercion is not an option." Before Torlak could respond, the viewport darkened momentarily. When it cleared, his crew gasped collectively. Where there had been empty space behind the human vessel, a massive ship had appeared. Riff ship was even the correct term. The structure was enormous, easily dwarfing Torlak's flagship. Its design defied conventional starship architecture, with sections that seemed to exist in multiple locations simultaneously, connected by threads of energy that bent in ways that hurt the eyes to follow. "This is the Quantum Vanguard," Desmond explained. "Our first true void ship, capable of traversing not just space but the dimensions between spaces. It can reach any point in the galaxy instantaneously, bypass any defense, and deliver whatever payload we deem necessary." The massive shippa, or perhaps ships, as it seemed to be both singular and plural simultaneously, pulsed with energy that sensors couldn't categorize. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, it vanished, leaving only empty space. "A recording," Torlak declared, trying to sound confident. "A holographic projection. If that comforts you, Admiral," Desmond replied, a hint of amusement in her voice. "In exactly 8 minutes, your ship's systems will restore. I suggest you return to Council space and deliver a complete report of what you've witnessed." The Council demanded tribute. "We have answered." The communication channel closed. The human shuttle accelerated away, its drive flaring briefly before it too vanished. Not with the flash of conventional FTL transit, but simply ceasing to exist in observable space. True to Desmond's word, 8 minutes later, the fleet systems began to restore. Sensors came online, engines reactivated, and communications channels reopened. The confused and frightened reports from 50 ships flooded the flagship's command deck. Torlak sat in silence, considering his options. His orders had been clear: position the fleet as a show of strength, but take no aggressive action without explicit Council approval. Those orders now seemed laughably inadequate to the situation. "Set course for Council Prime," he finally ordered. "Maximum speed, and prepare a full report for the High Councilor's eyes only." "Sir," Commander Lux ventured hesitantly, "what exactly will we report? That the humans disabled our entire fleet without firing a shot? That they possess technology that makes our most advanced systems obsolete?" Torlak's expression was grim. "We will report exactly what happened, Commander, and may the Founders help us all." As the Council fleet departed, their sensors failed to detect the small probes that attached themselves to each ship's hull. Quantum devices that would relay every word spoken on those vessels directly to Admiral Desmond's command center in the Void Sector. Deep within that command center, buried inside a pocket dimension adjacent to conventional space, Desmond watched the Council fleet retreat. Behind her, a team of technicians monitored banks of equipment that managed the complex quantum fields needed to maintain the dimensional pocket stability. "The demonstration was successful," reported her chief scientist, Dr. Thomas Reed. "The field nullification performed exactly as expected, and the Vanguard projection was convincing." "Projection?" asked Marcus Rivera, who had joined them from his diplomatic assignment. "You mean the Vanguard isn't real?" Desmond and Reed exchanged glances. "Not yet," Desmond replied carefully. "The technology works in principle, but we haven't successfully built a full-sized void ship. The power requirements are problematic." "So we bluffed," Marcus said flatly. "We accelerated the timeline," Desmond corrected. "The Vanguard design is sound. Construction has begun. What the Council fleet saw was a projection of what will exist within 5 years. Marcus frowned. "That's a dangerous game, Admiral." "If the Council calls our bluff They won't," Desmond interrupted. "Not after what we just demonstrated. Field nullification is real enough, and terrifying enough on its own. The Vanguard was simply emphasis," she gestured, and a holographic display appeared showing the Council fleet in retreat. "Besides, we're not relying solely on military deterrence. How are the diplomatic initiatives proceeding?" Marcus's expression softened slightly. "Better than expected. The Meriden Collective is openly supportive of our bid for Council membership. The Taladarians are cautiously interested, particularly in the medical applications of quantum technology. Even the Solari Union, traditionally one of the most conservative blocs, has requested private talks. And the opposition? The Hextari Empire remains hostile, of course. They've called for immediate sanctions and military action. The Vrex hierarchy is difficult to read, but they rarely break ranks with the High Councilors." Desmond nodded thoughtfully. "And what about Director Krell Knox's investigation? Has he made the connection yet?" "If he has, he's keeping it extremely quiet," Marcus replied. "Our sources in Council intelligence haven't detected any unusual activity." "He will," Desmond said with certainty. "Krell Knox is too thorough not to eventually discover the truth." Dr. Reed looked uncomfortable. "Admiral, I still believe revealing the origin of our quantum technology is too risky. If the Council learns—" "They won't," Desmond cut him off. "Not until we're ready. The evidence was thoroughly buried generations ago." A technician approached with an urgent report. "Admiral, we're detecting unusual activity at the Vrex homeworld. Their planetary defense grid is powering up to maximum capacity. Expecting attack?" Marcus wondered aloud. "No," Desmond replied, studying the incoming data. "They're attempting to create their own quantum field. Fascinating how, they must have had theoretical research already in progress. Can they succeed? Reed asked, alarmed. Not without understanding the underlying principles, Desmond assured him. At best, they'll create an unstable field that collapses immediately. At worst, she didn't need to finish the thought. Everyone in the command center knew the catastrophic potential of failed quantum manipulation. We should warn them, Marcus said firmly. Desmond. The Council ordered humanity to pay tribute. Their reply shook the galaxy. Part 4, the ultimatum. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had lasted for 7 straight days. The Chamber, once a model of order and decorum, now resembled a battlefield of words and threats. Species that had been allies for millennia found themselves on opposite sides of the human question. Arbiter Vox Lux, his authority severely undermined, struggled to maintain control as arguments erupted across the tiered seating. The 7 High Councilors, traditionally united in their decisions, now openly disagreed with each other, further fracturing the Council's authority. Councillor Dre of the Meriden Collective stood to address the chamber, her crystalline form catching and refracting light in patterns that demanded attention. We have verified the human claims, she announced, her voice creating harmonic overtones that resonated through the chamber. Their quantum engineering is real, and it is far beyond our understanding. The implications are unsettling. They are bluffing, roared Councillor Grax of the Hextari Empire, his armored exoskeleton clattering as he rose to his full intimidating height. One small demonstration against an unprepared fleet proves nothing. The nullification field could be a localized effect, a trick meant to deceive us. I say we crush these upstarts with overwhelming force. Did you not hear Admiral Torlak's report? Countered Councillor Jen of the Solari Union, her bioluminescent tendrils pulsing with agitation. 50 of our most advanced warships rendered completely inert without a single shot fired. And now these quantum beacons surrounding our homeworlds. Alleged beacons, interrupted Grax. We have only the human's word that these devices exist or what they can do. The beacons have been confirmed, came the quiet voice of High Councillor Mentis, the living metal being who rarely spoke in open session. His words caused immediate silence. Our sensors detect them now that they have been activated. Analysis suggests they are capable of extending the nullification field demonstrated against Admiral Torlak's fleet to planetary scale. The chamber erupted again in arguments and exclamations. Some representatives called for immediate diplomatic resolution, others for military action despite the risks, and a growing faction advocated for accepting human terms without conditions. Unnoticed amidst the chaos, the main doors slid open. Ambassador Marcus Rivera walked calmly to the center of the chamber, accompanied by Admiral Eliza Desmond. Neither had been summoned to this closed session, yet the chamber's legendary security measures had failed to prevent their entry. Without seeking permission or acknowledgement, Desmond activated the central projection system. The chamber fell silent as a holographic display appeared above the central platform. Thousands of small objects in orbit around every major council world, each pulsing with a soft blue light. These are quantum beacons, Desmond stated flatly. They've been in place for years. With a single command, we can extend our nullification field technology to any of your homeworlds. The silence was absolute now, broken only by the soft hum of the holographic projector. Humanity does not desire conflict, continued Desmond, her voice carrying clearly through the hushed chamber. But neither will we be subjugated. You have 24 hours to recognize Earth as a full council member with veto authority. After that, we will demonstrate our resolve on an uninhabited moon of our choosing. She turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and the tribute request? Consider it permanently declined. This is extortion, Grax bellowed, stepping toward the humans. Several security drones moved to intercept him, but they suddenly froze in mid-air, their systems apparently disabled by some invisible force. Marcus smiled thinly. No, Counselor. This is negotiation between equals, something the Council seems to understand only when backed by sufficient power. Before anyone could respond further, Director Krell Knox entered the chamber, moving quickly to the High Councilor's dais. He handed a secure data crystal to High Councilor Mentis, speaking urgently but too quietly for most to hear. The humans watched this exchange with interest but made no move to interfere. After a moment, Marcus addressed the chamber again. We'll leave you to your deliberations. 24 hours honored representatives. We look forward to your response. As they turned to leave, Counselor Dre approached them. Ambassador Admiral, a word in private. The three moved to a small alcove off the main chamber. Once there, Dre's crystalline form vibrated in what the humans had learned to recognize as intense emotion. You must extend the deadline, she said urgently. The Council cannot reach consensus in 24 hours on a matter of this magnitude. It's structurally impossible. That's precisely the point, Counselor, Desmond replied. The Council's structure has maintained the dominance of the 7 founding species for millennia, while relegating all others to second-class status. That structure needs to change. And threatening planetary devastation is your solution? Dre's crystalline edges sharpened. What a sign of distress in her species. The demonstration will target an uninhabited moon, Marcus clarified. No lives will be at risk. But yes, the threat is necessary. The Council has never acknowledged a species as equal unless that species demonstrated the power to demand it. Dre's form shifted, colors flowing through her crystalline body as she processed this. There are those among us who would welcome change, she admitted. The Meriden have long advocated for Council reform. But others, particularly the Hextari and Vrexire, will resist to the last. We know, Marcus said. We've analyzed Council voting patterns for decades. At best, we can hope for a narrow majority supporting our membership. But that's enough to begin the transformation. You have larger goals than mere membership, Dre observed shrewdly. Desmond nodded. Quantum technology offers possibilities beyond anything the Council has permitted. Medical applications that could end suffering for billions, energy solutions that eliminate resource competition, and yes, defensive capabilities that make warfare obsolete. Or make it more devastating than ever, Dre countered. That depends on who controls the technology, Marcus replied. Under Council restrictions, only the founding species would have access. Earth proposes universal availability, with appropriate safeguards. Dre's colors shifted again, settling into a pattern the humans recognized as thoughtful consideration. I will advocate for your position, she finally said, but I make no promises about success. That's all we ask, Marcus assured her. After Dre departed, Desmond checked her secure communication device. Phase 4 is complete. The ultimatum has been delivered. Now we wait. Not quite, Marcus corrected. We have one more card to play. Back in the main chamber, the arguments had intensified. Director Krell Knox stood before the High Counselors, presenting his findings about humanity's ancient technological legacy. The evidence suggests that Earth once hosted a civilization with quantum engineering capabilities exceeding our own, he explained, displaying archaeological data on the Council's main projection system. Approximately 50,000 years ago, this civilization appears to have destroyed itself in some cataclysmic event. Modern humans have been rediscovering this knowledge piece by piece. If true, this changes the entire context of our interaction with humanity, noted High Counselor Shen. They are not upstarts but heirs to an ancient legacy. It explains their rapid advancement, agreed High Counselor Mentis. They weren't developing new technology. They were reconstructing forgotten knowledge. Counselor Grax scoffed. Even if this theory is correct, it changes nothing. A primitive species with borrowed technology is still a primitive species. They lack the cultural and philosophical development to use such power responsibly. An interesting assertion, came Marcus's voice as he and Desmond re-entered the chamber, especially from a species that used antimatter bombardment to subjugate 3 worlds during their own rise to power. Grax's exoskeleton rattled with rage. How dare you? Council Historical Archives Public Record, Marcus interrupted smoothly. Humanity has studied the Council thoroughly, Counselor. We know which species earned their place through achievement, and which through conquest and intimidation. He turned to address the entire chamber. Director Krell Knox's theory is partially correct. Earth did once host an advanced civilization, but what he hasn't yet discovered is that this civilization wasn't native to Earth. A stunned silence fell over the chamber. Our ancestors came from beyond this galaxy, Marcus continued, his voice calm but carrying. They fled some great catastrophe, settling on Earth and a handful of other worlds. Over time, they lost their technology and their history, reduced to primitive survival. What humanity has been doing for the past several centuries isn't just rediscovery. It's reconnection with our true heritage. Preposterous. exclaimed several representatives at once. Marcus activated his own device displaying genetic data and archaeological findings. The evidence is encoded in our very DNA and in artifacts we've kept hidden from Council observers. We knew that revealing our true nature too soon would trigger exactly the reaction we're seeing now: fear, denial, and hostility. The Council ordered humanity to pay tribute. Their reply shook the Galaxy Part 5, the New Order, the Great Hall of Reconciliation, an ancient chamber used only twice in the Council's 10,000-year history, gleamed with light, reflected from 1,000 crystalline surfaces. Representatives from every known spacefaring species filled the tiered seating, their attention fixed on the central platform where humans and Council High Counselors stood face to face. The hall had been constructed after the First Galactic Schism, when 3 founding species had nearly destroyed each other in a war of ideologies. Its very architecture was designed to inspire cooperation and understanding, with acoustic properties that made every word spoken from the central platform equally audible to all present, regardless of their position or auditory physiology. Today, that ancient hall witnessed a moment unprecedented in galactic history: the formal recognition of a species that had, in less than a month, upended the established order of 10 millennia. Arbiter Vox Lux, his authority now largely ceremonial, read from a glowing scroll. By unanimous consent, the Galactic Council hereby recognizes Earth and all human-governed worlds as a sovereign power with full council, membership and privileges thereof. Ambassador Marcus Rivera nodded solemnly as he accepted the seal of recognition, a small device containing the quantum signatures of all Council species. The physical transfer was symbolic. The real acknowledgement had already been registered in the Council's central database, forever altering the balance of galactic governance. But it was what came next that truly shocked the assembled delegates. Furthermore, continued Vox Lux, his voice tight with suppressed emotion, in recognition of humanity's unique contributions to universal understanding, the Council structure shall be reformed. The era of the High Counselors is ended. A new galactic assembly will govern, where all species hold equal voice. Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. For millennia, the power hierarchy had remained unchanged, with the 7 eldest spacefaring races holding permanent authority over all decisions affecting galactic civilization. Admiral Eliza Desmond stepped forward. Humanity never sought domination, only recognition. Our quantum technology isn't a weapon. It's a key to regions of space previously thought uninhabitable, to energy sources previously untapped, to medical advances previously unimagined. She activated a small device. Above the chamber, the ceiling seemed to dissolve, revealing not the sky of the Council homeworld, but a vista of stars unlike any the delegates had ever seen. Brilliant colors, impossible formations, structures that defied conventional astrophysics. This is the true universe, Desmond said quietly, the one that exists beyond the limitations of conventional physics. Humanity will share this knowledge freely with all species who join us as equals. The display shifted, showing planets that seemed to exist partially in overlapping dimensions, structures that phased in and out of conventional reality, and life forms that defied categorization, entities composed of pure energy, beings that existed simultaneously in multiple states, creatures that seemed to feed on time itself. Our ancestors came from these realms, Marcus explained, watching the mixture of awe and fear on the faces of the assembled representatives. They fled some great catastrophe that we still don't fully understand, settling in this galaxy and eventually losing their connection to their true nature. Humanity's journey hasn't been one of advancement, but of remembering or reconnecting with knowledge encoded in our very essence. High Counselor Mentis, his living metal form now modified to accommodate new understanding of quantum resonance, addressed the chamber. The verification teams have confirmed the human claims. Their genetic structure contains non-terrestrial elements that serve as information storage, a biological archive of advanced knowledge. Which means what, exactly? Demanded Counselor Grax, his opposition undiminished despite the Council's decision. That we should surrender governance to a species claiming mystical origins? It means, Dre of the Meriden Collective replied, that our understanding of the universe has been fragmentary at best. The humans offer a path to knowledge that the Council has actively suppressed for millennia. Knowledge that benefits all species, not just the founding seven. The debate might have intensified further, but at that moment, Director Krell Knox entered the chamber, moving with unusual urgency. He approached the central platform and spoke directly to Marcus and Desmond. "We've detected anomalous quantum fluctuations at the edge of explored space," he said, loud enough for nearby delegates to hear. "The pattern matches descriptions in your ancestral records." The humans exchanged alarmed glances. Desmond accessed her secure communications device, confirming the report with Earth's monitoring stations. "How long?" Marcus asked quietly. "Hours, perhaps days," Krell Knox replied. "We can't be certain." Marcus turned to address the chamber, his diplomatic training barely containing his urgency. "Honored representatives, we face a situation that requires immediate collective action. The threat our ancestors fled, the catastrophe that scattered them across the stars, appears to be approaching this galaxy." Displays throughout the chamber activated, showing readings from various monitoring stations. Most delegates couldn't interpret the data, but the expressions on the faces of scientific advisors told a clear story. Something unprecedented was occurring. "The quantum beacons we positioned around your worlds," Desmond explained, "were never intended as weapons. Their primary purpose is defensive ABR, creating a network of stable space that can resist dimensional incursion." "Incursion by what?" asked High Counselor Zhen, her bioluminescent tendrils pulsing with concern. Instead of answering directly, Marcus displayed images recovered from humanity's genetic archives. Vast entities that existed partially outside conventional spacetime, beings that fed on the very fabric of reality, leaving destroyed dimensions in their wake. "We don't have a name for them," he said grimly. "Our ancestors called them simply the Void. They consume dimensions, collapsing reality itself. This galaxy has been shielded by natural quantum barriers for millennia, but those barriers are weakening." "Convenient timing," Grax noted suspiciously. "Just as humanity secures council membership, a threat appears that only human technology can counter." "Director Krell Knox," Marcus said, turning to the intelligence chief. "Your own sensors detected these anomalies, did they not?" "They did," Krell Knox confirmed. "And they match patterns observed in several fringe regions over the past century, regions that subsequently experienced unusually high rates of spatial anomalies and eventually became uninhabitable. The Void has been probing this galaxy's defenses for decades," Desmond explained. "We recognized the pattern from our ancestral memories, but we lacked the technological capability to respond until recently." "So your ultimatum, your demands for council recognition," Voxlux began, "were necessary steps to prepare a united defense," Marcus finished. "Humanity alone cannot protect this galaxy, but humanity's quantum technology, combined with the resources and knowledge of all council species, might be sufficient." "Might be," Grax challenged. "There are no certainties when facing a threat of this magnitude," Desmond admitted. "But division and conflict among our civilizations would ensure failure." The chamber fell silent as the implications settled over the assembled representatives. The political maneuvering, the power struggles, the ancient rivalries, all seemed suddenly petty in the face of existential threat. It was Councillor Dre who broke the silence. "The new Galactic Assembly must convene immediately to organize our response. If humanity's quantum technology offers protection, we must implement it galaxy-wide without delay." "Agreed," said High Counselor Mentis, speaking for the traditional leadership. "The transition to the new governance structure will proceed as planned. But our immediate priority must be collective defense." Over the next several days, the newly formed Galactic Assembly worked tirelessly to coordinate the unprecedented cooperation between formerly isolated or competing species. Humanity's quantum beacons, now revealed as components of a defensive network rather than weapons of extortion, were supplemented with additional technology contributed by various council races. The Meriden Collective, their crystalline technology particularly compatible with quantum engineering, provided crucial amplification systems. The Rex Hierarchy, experts in spatial mathematics, developed improved algorithms for predicting dimensional incursions. Even the Hextari Empire, their initial hostility tempered by common threat, contributed their unparalleled expertise in energy distribution systems. In a hidden facility deep within the Void sector, Marcus Rivera and Admiral Desmond observed the galaxy-wide preparations. Around them, Teams of human and alien scientists worked side by side, integrating technologies that would have been forbidden under the old council restrictions. "Do you think we'll be ready in time?" Marcus asked quietly. Desmond studied the progress reports flowing in from across the galaxy. "The defensive network is at 60% capacity and improving hourly. If the void follows the pattern observed in ancestral records, we'll have enough warning to bring the system to full power before major incursion begins." "And if it doesn't follow the pattern?"